The buses, it is being said, played a big role in the government securing a third term. The rural school bus service is a political masterstroke. And if you know politics, you would know that the visual effect is very lasting, especially in the minds of Jamaicans. Minister Vaz not only works, Minister Vaz produces results. As a matter of fact, I hear Mr. Vaz saying that he's going to retire. And I would implore the Prime Minister to encourage Mr. Vaz one more term. One more term. Because I must tell you, Vaz is a performer. In an age when connectivity is no longer a luxury, but a right and a necessity, Vaz has been a strong voice expanding universal access to broadband and wireless services, particularly with a focus on rural Jamaica, ensuring citizens outside urban centers are not left behind in the digital economy. In a little community that I am from in Grove Place, Manchester. Grove Place, Manchester. I go down there the other day and there's cable TV in deep rural Jamaica. Internet, Wi-Fi in a deep rural communities. Free Wi-Fi. Vaz's leadership in telecommunication came into sharp focus during the recovery from Hurricane Melissa, when networks were knocked out across parishes. Under his oversight, Darrell, telecom providers restored service rapidly. You remember Vaz out at the airport telling them, get this airport open. Mobile companies in Jamaica don't joke with Mr. Vaz. JPS know that. The telecom companies know that. You don't joke with this minister. Mobile coverage was largely back online in no time. A vital step in re-establishing communications, supporting families, businesses, and emergency services. Darrell Vaz, in my view, is standing out as an effective performing minister in this Andrew Holness administration. He is at the top. And I can tell you this. And you see Vaz after Melissa. Bus after bus after bus. Light after light after light. The people want light. Vaz is an action man. If public transport was once a perennial problem, Vaz has made it part of his mission to improve and modernize the system. Big up, Darrell. Under Minister Vaz, the Jamaica Urban Transit Company has seen fleet expansion and operational enhancements. It has never been this good. I remember Minister Vaz on Nationwide promising that he was going to turn around the JUTC. Garnet Roper couldn't do it. Yes. I don't remember the other man after that. Well, gone. It wasn't the minister, but he was in charge of the JUTC at one time. Many cleaner, more cost-efficient transit options were provided by vows. The introduction of the Rural Express expanded routes, bridging long-distance connectivity gaps across parishes. These moves are not just about adding buses. They're about restoring confidence in the public transport, improving commuter experience, and building a system that works for Jamaicans from Montego Bay to Port Antonio. When you go into Spanish Town, I go into pass through Old Harbour sometime. And when I pass through Old Harbour in the mornings, I feel so proud to see the beautiful yellow buses parked in the town, waiting to be filled with students going to school. What a fantastic achievement by a minister. Huh? And Minister Vaz will go down as the minister who introduced a landmark social intervention rural school bus system. Hear me, landmark for Jamaica. There is no greater social intervention over the last decade than the rural school bus system. This Andrew Holness administration is transforming the social landscape of Jamaica. Uno could have criticized all uno want. These are the facts. Before Andrew Holness and Darrell Vaz, there were no rural school bus system. I went to Homewood and there were two Tata buses, two in the 90s, two Tata. One go Spaldings and one go Christiana. Uno could have bought a little bit. When I went to the park in Mandeville and I never got on the Tata, I had to wait for the bus to go to Christiana and come back. I had to wait in Mandeville for the one Tata bus to go to Mandeville and come back so that it could carry a second trip to Homewood. And you never got a seat. Never got a seat. It was always standing. By the time you reach school, you're crushed, you're wet, you're hot, you're exhausted. Today, students in Jamaica paying only $50 are riding in air-conditioned comfort to school, seated. Now you tell me if that is not a landmark social intervention system. Who do that? Who do that? One of the most transformational contributions of Darrell has been the development and rollout of the rural school bus program. My neighbors, this is not just a program. This is how you transform a country. You know, there are parallels in development. there is the economic parallel and there is the social parallel. They must be aligned, because if you focus on the economic parallel and you pay no attention to the social parallel, they must harmonize. Then the social, which you get sociology, will affect the sustainability of the economic or the economy, because the economy does not exist in abstract. It exists because of the parallel social construct that exists in the society. Okay? A first of its kind initiative designed to ensure that students in rural Jamaica could access safe, reliable, affordable transportation to and from school. Often a profound barrier in underserved communities since the rural school bus. Schools are reporting 100% attendance. You see how one policy can transform socially? From the phased distribution of buses across parishes to the subsidized flat fares that dramatically reduce travel costs for families. This program stands to improve attendance in school, enhance equity in education, and even reduce road fatalities involving children, turning infrastructure into opportunity. What resonates with many Jamaicans about Minister Vows is not just what he sets out to do, but how he does it. Darrell is focused on delivery over rhetoric. Darrell is always focused on delivery over rhetoric. Whether it is reintroducing the aged vehicle policy to help public passenger vehicle operators modernize fleets, working towards the national ride-hailing policy to regulate emerging transport services, whatever he does, practical problem solving that tangibly improve lives. And so, Darrell, you say you are going to retire? In this final term, as Minister Vows himself has acknowledged, his legacy will likely be measured not only in buses delivered or network restored, but in doors opened and burdens eased for Jamaicans. Whether it was ensuring digital connection, safer roads, dependable transport services, or equitable access to education, his imprint on these national systems is unmistakable. Critics will always dig into procurement processes. Those are critics. And I get the feeling that this hard-working minister is being targeted because he's just too good. Critics will dig into procurement processes. And I have no issue, because accountability is part of democratic governance. But it is equally important to recognize when a leader has translated policy into progress. And this country, Jamaica, when we were to speak up, we never speak up. Let me get a little water, moderator, get a little water, and as I want to drive this home. I want to drive this home as I head to the 8:15 break and take my guess. All right, Mom?
Okay, neighbor. Listeners,
give me 5 minutes.
Of course. Listeners, could you please tap the screen and share the live? Also, please repost the live.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Critics will dig into procurement process, and accountability is part of governance. I don't have no problem with that. But it is equally important to recognize when a leader, when a minister translates policy into progress, and when the benefits of that progress are being felt in the daily routines of families, students, and communities island-wide. In a time when government performance is often judged by sound bites rather than service delivery, Minister Vows' record is a reminder that consistent, combative, get-it-done leadership still has power to transform institutions, rebuild public trust, and leave a meaningful legacy. This country, Jamaica, may God help us. We attack the good, and the bad we hug up. We attack the good, and the bad we hug up. And I ask Jamaicans, if there is ever a minister that deserves your support, is Darrell Vaz. Darrell Vaz is fully committed to the cause of helping the Jamaican people. When you look on him, you see Jamaica. There is a curious instinct in politics. My time is running out, but not my words. I've got a lot more to say, but time is against me. There is a curious instinct in politics, not just here in Jamaica, but across democracies, to pull down those who achieve, even as we tolerate or excuse mediocrity. It's almost as if success itself becomes a target. If you want people to hate you, do well. If you want people to bad mind you, perform. Thief, and thief. Let's be honest about the record. Under Andrew Holness, Jamaica has experienced some of the most remarkable economic performance in its independent history. The debt to GDP ratio has been halved from unsustainable levels, lowest in 30 years. Unemployment is at an historic low. Inflation is within its targeted band. The country has seen consecutive periods of economic growth and improved fiscal stability. These are not abstract talking points. They are measurable achievements that improve lives and expand opportunity. And yet, we have never, as a country, been more stable. And yet, instead of celebrating those gains, what do we often see? A tendency to zoom in on controversy. Go and do a report about the successes of the rural school bus service. You lazy journalists in Kingston. Go and do a report of that. Send your journalists. That's what should be on the front page of the paper. No letter from Mark Golding. What we need on the front page is that 100% of our children are now attending school because of this rural procurement. What is that? What is procurement? Huh? Don't put that. We don't need that on the front page. What we need is to go into the country and speak to Miss Matty and Mas Tin and ask them how much have they saved? How have this service turned around the lives of Jamaicans? That's what we need on the front page. What we need on the front page is what is the impact on poor people of a rural school bus service. We zooming in on controversy to amplify alleged missteps. Yeah, people make mistakes. Mr. Patterson once said it was youthful exuberance. Philip Paulwell failed time and often, and he remained in the cabinet forgiven. Where was the gleaner? To treat every challenge or criticism as a scandal. There is no scandal here. Consider how accusations against wholeness, even when no charges are laid, are sized up and replayed relentlessly, casting shadows over a record of measurable progress. This is not unique to Jamaica, you know. One philosopher warned that societies with strong egalitarianism, egalitarian impulses, sometimes resent excellence. And I'm going to spend a little time on that maybe tomorrow, because it seems like in Jamaica we resent excellence. We don't know what good for we. It come in like the egalitarianism. The egalitarian impulse. Resent excellence. We have a good prime minister, the best in history, and we try to tear him down. We have one of the best trunk. Let go the man making up fix the bus problem in the country. Let go the man. As a matter of fact, you know, Mr. Patterson at one time said that the paperwork must catch up. Let go the man. We thief so much in the country here that when good people come around, we think to them a thief too. We have this insidious culture of thievery that we think everybody is dishonest. They warned, you know, that societies with strong egalitarianism impulses sometimes resent excellence, not because excellence harms them, but because it makes them confront their own complacencies. And in politics, you see, resentment often takes the form of aggressive scrutiny of achievers while ignoring underperformers. That is what is happening in Jamaica. It's an egalitarian society. And this egalitarianism has affected Prime Minister Holness. They resent him because he's performing. You know, if he perform, you know, if he bright, you know, if he do well. A form of aggressive scrutiny. Why is the Prime Minister coming under such scrutiny? Because he's doing well. And we ignore underperformers. If you stand out as a minister, you come under the most attack. That's why vows is under attack. Why? You notice in the cabinet? Notice in the cabinet, those who are quiet and are do not well, their role may not be so, you know, out there. Nobody knows see them. We have seen this before. When governments stumble without notable progress, when growth stagnates, when debt balloons or services erode, the media might whisper about the failures, but rarely with the ferocity reserved for those who actually deliver results. Yet when a leader presides over historically low unemployment, greater fiscal health, economic resilience in the face of Hurricane Melissa's devastation, an event that caused an estimated 40% of your GDP, critics frame the narrative not as stewardship under pressure, but as deficiency. Go ahead, you're a hypocrite. Not as stewardship, but as deficiency. Go ahead. Big old set of hypocrites in this country. Don't like them. I don't like them. I say it's so sad. Why? Because scrutiny is essential, but context is crucial. Without context, criticism becomes noise, not accountability. Noise. Noise, the mamek. There is also something deeper at play. We live in an era where media competition for clicks and engagement rewards conflict and controversy over steady leadership and structural improvements. Outrage is shareable. Disorder is friendly headlines. Progress, especially slow, disciplined, and cumulative progress, is far less likely to make the evening news. And so the narrative gravitates towards the sensational rather than the substantive. When critics, political opponents, or pundits paint wholeness leadership as a catalogue of failure, it says less about the reality of his performance and more about the dynamics of political narrative in the digital age. And when those criticisms are amplified in the media ecosystem, without balancing those narratives with context about record-setting economic indicators, history declines or historic declines in poverty, job creation, and macroeconomic resilience, the result is a distorted public discourse. I know my time is gone, and I'm going to wrap this up in another few minutes. There's a broader truth here about how societies treat leaders. We tend to hold successful leaders to impossible standards, demanding perfection while celebrating mediocrity in others. We fixate on allegations and ignore outcomes. We confuse noise with news. That is what is happening to vows. Fixated on allegations and ignore outcomes. Let us focus on the results the man is delivering. Let us focus on the results the man is delivering. Public accountability is not optional. Scrutiny is essential, but so is proportion, evidence, and context. And if Jamaica's media and civil society wants to be credible, they must grapple with the uncomfortable fact that some leaders do deliver results, like Darrell Vaz and Andrew Holness. Measurable, beneficial results. And these achievements deserve analysis and fairness. To dismiss or undermine a high-performing leader simply because a claim would disrupt entrenched narratives is not just unfair. It impoverishes the public discourse. It lowers expectations. And it rewards cynicism and denies the nation the possibility of building on genuine progress. If we are serious about national development, then our critique must be as disciplined as our praise. rooted in evidence, balanced in context, and committed to elevating excellence whenever it is found. Because done well, that's the hallmark of a mature democracy. And done poorly, we risk celebrating conquests of the trivial while ignoring the substantive, diminishing genuine achievement in the process. I said Minister Caroline. Moderator, do I have guests?
Minister Caroline.
Yes. Do I have guests?
Yes, you do, but you need to go longer.
No, maybe I'm going too long. I can wrap it here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, of course, no public figure is above scrutiny. No public figure should be above accountability. But in a moment when much of our political conversation gravitates towards criticism and controversy, we must also acknowledge those leaders who take responsibility, deliver tangible improvements, and push programs toward that serves the broadest interests of the Jamaican people. Wayne Wonder? Wayne Wonder? Hello? Winston?
Good evening, neighbor. Good evening, Caroline.
Good evening. Just a second, please. Listeners, if you'd like to come into the box to join the conversation, please send your request now.
Great. Hello, sir.
Yes, neighbor.
Good night to you.
Good night to you, sir, and your listeners. I just want to say a beautiful piece of English literature there, neighbor.
Wow.
Beautiful. You see, neighbor, there is a passage of scripture in the book of Romans where Paul speak about the time when men will call right wrong.
Yes.
Wrong right. And
yes.
When men will burn in their own lust and lie with their own sex.
Lie with their own what?
Sex.
Yeah.
And we are seeing this playing out in our society today, neighbor.
That men are lying with their own sex?
Not only that, neighbor, but when men willing to call right wrong and wrong right.
Yes.
It's a dangerous precedent.
I tell you, sir, yes. Because what we are trying to do is amplify the mediocrity, sir. But we don't amplify progress and success.
Yes, neighbor. You see,
we zoom in on controversy to amplify alleged missteps. These missteps are allegations, they are not proven. There is no evidence that vows has done anything wrong. But it comes on the front page of the Gleaner. And yet what he does doesn't come on the front page. What has he done, Winston? What we need on the front page is what is the result of the policy, the transformational policy that is transforming poor people's lives. That's what we need to hear the journalists talk about.
But remember, in the neighbor, from the first stage, the PMP and its operative tried to make a big controversy out of the rural school bus program, which was a very successful initiative by the government and the minister. And now that the initiative is bearing good fruits, the PMP wanted to pour cold water over it. We know that the Gleaner is operating by half the PMP. We know that. And you see, neighbor, and that's why many of our people are so ignorant because they do not read. You know, leading up to the Second World War, you know, Germany was a striving democracy, you know. But it was propaganda that tricked the German population to become a people of callousness, a people without love for humanity. And we all know what the German society have done to Europe in the Second World War. And it is so sad, neighbor, that many of our people do not learn from history. The things that take place in the past and how it have ruined society. And if we don't careful, neighbor, this country will end up doing bad things to each other.
Yes.
If we don't careful, we have the one since our independent, neighbor, we have the most successful government.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir. And there are those in the society. There's those in the society, sir, who will want the Jamaican people to feel that no go so.
Yes.
Why is that? Why is that? Why is that? John, take for example, Prime Minister Holness. Have you seen any other leader of this? Some of them never have no use, right? They enrich themselves and impoverished the Jamaican people. Okay, and this man has come. I spoke earlier of the egalitarianism society that tend not to understand what goodness is about. It appears, you know, John, that if you are a good person, if you are a hard worker, if you are a talented person, people want to pull you down.
Yes, neighbor. And neighbor.
And it is something that we must resist, sir.
You remember some time ago I said to you that Jamaica is a class society. Class society. And what happened with the elites in this country do not recognize our Prime Minister as one of them. Okay? So the elites who control the media houses in this country, both electronic and print media, and they control the private sectors, they don't see our Prime Minister as one of them in a cut from freedom cloth. So they will do anything, neighbor, to pull him down. He shouldn't not have been successful in leading this country. Right? Andrew Wallace is achieving what PJ Patterson yearned for. Andrew Wallace has achieved what Michael Mandy yearned for. Andrew Wallace succeed what Portia Simpson Miller yearned for.
We are resenting excellence in this country, and it is a shame. We are resenting excellence, sir. There was a time in Jamaica when we promoted excellence.
Yes.
Today we are resenting excellence.
Yes, neighbor.
Okay? It is almost as if our best is being made out to be the worst. What type of society is this?
You know, neighbor, when I was attending early school in my time, I was reading books, speak about and write about the excellence of Jamaica, the achievers, the Arthur Wynne,
don't mash up my
Edleys, and all of those.
Don't.
Today,
don't mash up my sofa.
Today, neighbor, I can say this to you without any fear, that if it was a PMP Prime Minister have the success as the Andrew Wallace, all the literature book in a primary school would have something to say about Andrew Wallace in it.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you that. If it was a PMP prime minister that have the success of Andrew Wallace, all of our school literature book would have something mentioned about this prime minister. But
Yeah.
in the cut from the elite cloth. And that's the problem.
Yeah. All right. Good evening to you, Chops. Not there. Miss Baxter. Hello? Miss Baxter? Baxter? No Baxter. Are you there, sir? Chops? No. All right.
Yeah, man, I'm here. Greetings, neighbor.
How are you,
Greetings,
sir?
everybody. I'm very well enough. Good, thanks.
You have any
Just like
breaking
y'all are
news,
doing
or
that.
are you ready for some questions?
Well, I don't really have any breaking news, So I'll take a few
Okay.
questions if you have any.
Okay, let me go. Chops. Here is a policy that, in my view, is a distinguished social policy, very transformational, instituted by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Which one?
There is a recent data suggesting that there has been a 95%. Someone's background is a little troublesome there. A 95% boost in attendance for school using the buses. The fact of the matter, and Chops, is that this social policy has done wonders for Jamaica. Oh, is he gone? I think so. All right, let's jump on every level.
No, man, I'm here, man.
All right. Hello.
Yeah, man. Sorry about that, neighbor. I'm here.
All right. Yeah. What I was saying to you is that the whole matter of
The school bus, yes.
the social transformation of the society.
Yes.
Isn't this where we should be focusing the discussion at this point, rather than whether procurements were fault? The fact is, we have the buses in Jamaica, sir. We have the result. We have what we need to look at is how effective the buses have been. Isn't that where we should be focusing the discussion?
Absolutely.
What is the gleaner? Huh?
I find it very disheartening that you still in this society have people who would put politics above nation building. No, I'm a rabid politics guy. I've been in the trenches and I've done my rounds elsewhere. But for the life of me, neighbor, there comes a time when you have to put Jamaica ahead of plain politics.
Yes.
And it is disturbing. These school buses, the report came out that you have 100% attendance.
No, imagine what that means for
people.
educational outcomes in the future. Imagine what that means for
And
educational outcomes. Nobody's talking about that.
That did make the headline. That did make the headline. That did not make the headline. And you wonder.
Go ahead, man.
No, I said if information like that don't make the headline, there was a time, neighbor, when you would turn to entities like the Gleaner company, which you could go to for reference. The Gleaner is an institution, you know.
Yes.
It's a part of the fabric of Jamaica. It represents one of the oldest media houses in Jamaica. It archives
Yes.
some of our national treasures. And for students coming up now, younger Jamaicans who wants to refer or reference or look for information, the Gleaner is one of the entities that students studying at the university and other institutions would want to go to get accurate information.
Yes.
Can we say that today that students wanting to look at the Gleaner company today would be getting factual and honest reporting?
But it's not only the Gleaner, sir. Which of the media houses in Jamaica have gone out into rural Jamaica to do a story about the impact of the rural school bus system on Jamaica, and especially the social fabric of the lives of people in the rural communities? Which media house have done that?
They have gotten lazy. It reminds
Isn't
me
that
of
a
the
big
banks.
story for people to understand, sir? And I bet
Of
you say if
course.
the Auditor General found out that $20 was missing in the procurement process, that makes the headline. This is a foolishness they're going with, man.
But neighbor, the Auditor General who would have audited the various ministries and agencies, departments and agencies of government, would have seen these things. They have no interest in anything that is good for Jamaica. I think the negative argument has now penetrated some of the institutions that you would want to know that these institutions are ones that uphold the positive side of Jamaica and promote the positive side of Jamaica. But when you have an institution that is equally conducting witch hunt as though they are in the pockets of politicians or political party, it makes you sad. I don't know if you heard.
Celebrate. Yeah.
I don't know if you listened to the report coming out of the interview with Dr. Horace Strong, the Minister of National Security and Deputy Prime Minister, when he says that the NGOs, and let me not say NGOs, but civil society groups, some of them, are in existence basically through blood money. They're living off what he calls blood money.
You will see they talking to their lawyers.
They can speak to Jehovah if they want. Because I know that what Dr. Chang has said is 150% accurate.
Did you hear Kevin O'Brien Chang?
Haven't heard him, but I'm hoping that he takes the side of Dr. Chang on this one.
Dr. Kevin O'Brien Chang said that he supports Dr. Chang 100%.
100%, because we've been saying this, neighbor, and I am happy that this sentiment is now echoed by someone of the magnitude and the stature of Dr. Horace Strong. We've been saying it for years. They've been searching for me for years now for lawsuit, you know. Because yes. Because I started a campaign a few years ago.
Yes.
And I highlighted the fact that organizations like Jamaicans for Justice and the Integrity Action Group, at the time headed by none other than Professor Trevor Monroe, I made it abundantly clear at the time that these
Yes.
entities are financed by European Union and other international donors on the backs of Jamaica being a corrupt country or a murderous country?
Listen
We've
to me,
had
Sacha.
that campaign. Yes,
Listen to me,
please.
Kevin.
I can tell you something. 95% of Jamaicans are with Dr. Chang. What is the greatest human right? These are human rights groups, right?
The right to life, they say,
Yes,
is the
The
greatest of
right
all of
to
that.
life, the right to stay alive. What's the number one job of a government?
Security,
Keep
they
people
would say.
safe.
Yes.
Keep its people safe, right? And for 20, 30 years, Jamaica had the highest murder rate in the world, by far. It was embarrassing. We were up at 60, the next people were like at 40 sometimes. And for over consistently, other countries would have high murder rates and then drop out, We were up there in the top 5 for like 30 years straight. That's not embarrassing, but horrific. How could a society allow such thousands of people to be killed every year and people see business as normal? Finally, we got a prime minister with the balls to attack the gangs, which were protected by both sides of them. They can't tell me any different. PNP and JLP protected their henchmen for elections. Finally, the prime minister came, said, no, we are going to give the police freedom to take on the gangs, no matter who they're connected with. Murders have dropped from the 1,600 a few years ago. It was at under 700 last year.
But Kevin, hold on, Kevin. Hold on. Hold on, Kevin. Hold on. Let me just be clear on something. Let me just be clear on something.
They don't want any good
Calling. Hold on, Kevin. Calling for accountability from the police. Surely you're not saying that necessarily translates into being anti-police.
What is Indicom doing? Indicom is there to ensure accountability from the police.
But that doesn't mean other voices can't be elevated in that quest.
The 2% where Indicom finds a problem, let the human rights people deal with them because the police are not perfect. Let's get this straight. No organization in the world is perfect.
But I don't know that Jamaicans for Justice is requiring perfection, are they, Kevin?
Well, let them deal with the ones Indicom has a problem with. Don't attack every police killing. And this good Jamaican for Justice, they mean no good for the country. Remember that when the man...
No, but hold on, Kevin. Hold on. No, Kevin, just a second, Kevin. Just a second, Kevin.
Let the man finish.
Of the pit and the mother.
Kevin.
What did they say? What about rehabilitation?
Kevin.
Yes.
Jamaicans for Justice has existed since 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And their mandate has always been to hold the security forces, the state, for abuses of human rights. And I'm saying to you, hold on. And I'm saying to you, and I need you to accept this. Surely you're not saying that to ask for accountability from the security forces means that one is anti-police. That is not your position, right?
No.
All right, up on a break. Let me take the break. Let me take the break and come back with more. Jermaine Barrett, Kevin O'Brien. Hold on.
All right.
Right, though, that there is a certain posturing to civil society advocacy that Jamaicans may now be seen as anti-police and that they should perhaps change that approach.
There's merit in that position. I think Kevin.
So today we have it, Mr. O'Brien Chang saying that in the JFJ means Jamaica no good.
Up, and he's 100% correct, sir. I was a political activist when Jamaican for Justice was formed by Carolyn Gomes. I was there. I was active in the political space when I Ghana Barrett at the Constant Spring lockup. That was what brought Jamaicans for Justice to the helm.
Yes.
They were defending what was extrajudicial killing that existed under the PNP.
Yes.
And they were right in doing that. Jamaica had 468 extrajudicial killing at that time. The police, instead of buying extra police cars, offered to purchase 3 hearse for the police.
My God.
So Jamaican for Justice understands what exists then and can very well compare to what exists now. They have lost credibility. Jamaican for Justice went on a campaign to go into schools promoting homosexuality to our basic school students. It is documented.
I will tell you, Chops, that a school that I was principal for got caught up into that controversy, and so I have the fact. I have the facts of that because my school was one of the schools that made it on the media. I had to get lawyers. I remember Lisa Hanna was the minister at the time. Yes.
Yes.
And a commission headed by Maxine Henry Wilson.
That is
I
correct.
remember how they grilled me about the matter. It is well documented. As I said, I'm very much involved in that. And so I will plead the fifth because I know that case quite well. And the thing is that there were some untruths said at the time.
Yes.
Because I was in all the sessions, and what it came out that JFJ was doing was not exactly so.
Okay.
You remember when we were introducing condoms in prison?
Yes, I remember that quite clearly.
You remember how controversial that was?
Prescott was the correction chief at the time.
In the curriculum, there was a segment in the curriculum that was teaching about anal sex. And how boys, how you put on condom, and so they had included anal sex as sex. That is part of what the ministry had a problem with. But anyway, go ahead. As I said, I know that case very well.
But and I understand and appreciate that. But they lost credibility because what came out to the public at the time was that they were promoting and infiltrating the school with an agenda that was being fed to us by the Americans. And we can say it clear. That was an agenda that was promoted by the Barack Obama administration in the United States. I lived there, so I'm speaking from a position of no.
I know where the curriculum came from. Yeah.
Right, right, exactly. So they lost credibility from that time because they have deviated from what their core function was during the 90s and the early 2000s when the Agana Barrett and the what's the other gentleman name in Montego Bay who was killed at the police station in Barnett Street, right? They were advocating for those things because we had a police force at the time, Neighbour, that was a corrupt police force and a police force who were underserved, right? Under equipped, under-trained, and was just out of control.
Marco Dean.
Yes, sir. Marco Dean. Yes, sir.
Well, you remember what the police did to him? In the cell?
Yes, he was with a spliff.
His mother is a national hero. Over a spliff.
Yes, sir. Over a spliff. And Agana Barrett at Constant Spring was locked up, crammed in a cell. Yes, beaten to death. So that's the kind of police force we had then. And yes, we needed watchdogs to hone over them. Luckily, Bruce Golding came in 2007 and after hammering home, because Bruce Golding and the opposition at the time, which was the JLP, were lockstead with Jamaicans for Justice, you know. They were in bed, fighting against corruption, fighting against injustice. They were together. Bruce Golding came in, and God bless him, he instituted the institution to provide direct oversight to the police force, which is Indicom. And I can tell you, Neighbour, there has been no other institution in this country that can measure the level of success that Indicom can boast about over the period that they've came in. They came in when we had 400 plus, not police killings. We're talking about established extrajudicial killing. They were investigated and found to be unjust killings, right? And Indicom came in, and after Indicom, it went down to about 50 or 60. Significant reduction.
Yeah.
And to date, I don't know if there has been ever institution implemented that give us that sort of result. So when Jamaican for Justice now coming to tell police officers how to police, and nobody in JFJ has police training. None.
Yes. Well. Yeah. Let me
100% correct, Neighbour.
To Minister Vows, though. Wouldn't you agree with me, Chops, that Darrell Vows stands out as an exceptional minister?
He is undoubtedly, if there is another way to describe him other than exceptional, I don't know. He is absolutely one of the best we have in government
Have you
today.
ever had a better transport minister? Because to be very frank, he made sure looks pretty ordinary, you know.
I'm telling you, he made Pernell Charles look ordinary too. Pernell was transport minister back in the day and hardly too. He made them look like a cup of tea, nothing. You see, the difference with Darrell Vaz, you know, Neighbour. Darrell has a passion for wanting to serve. Darrell loves what he's doing.
How does he deliver these?
Because he's a, you know what he was appointed to under the Bruce Golding administration.
No, he was
information at one point, but he was appointed a special czar to deal with government. Yes, he was supposed to be the guy to deal with government bureaucracy, you know.
Yes,
and I believe,
things out of the way.
Yes, and I believe that he's in the departure lounge now to retire. And I would beg the Prime Minister
to keep him a little.
The fact that he has now accomplished significant top-level achievement in the ministries that he now has portfolio responsibilities for, I believe that the government should ask him kindly, as quickly as you wrap this up, can we ask you to stay on for another couple of years and appoint him as a bureaucracy czar to deal with government bureaucracy and cut through the red tapes? Because I know Darrell can do it. And get it done. He can do it. He can do it. And he's the best person to get it done. Darrell is a result-oriented individual who don't have time for the nonsense. You cannot tell Darrell that. You remember that interview with him recently at the Montego Bay airport when he said to them, 24 hours is in a day?
Get the go paper airport open.
And get it done. That is the minister we need. Those are the type of ministers we need.
That is the type of story we need published on the newspaper, sir. Not no front page, but more procurement policy. I have protected with me, but would you help us to understand the amazing achievement and turnaround at the JUTC? That was a bleeding. It was like
listen to me, man.
Like in Jamaica.
Neighbour, JUTC, when the Jamaica Labour Party took office in 2016, had 568 employees who never even turn up to work, and they're on the payroll.
Say that again.
They had go look for the article. They had 500 and odd employees who were getting paid, who never even showed up to work.
What are you saying to me?
What me say? They never even clock in. Why you think why you think they're unalive? What's his name over Spanish Town?
Yes, when the chairman,
Douglas Chambers was attempting protecting to clean up that mess that was created. JUTC under the People's National Party was the 63rd, 64th constituency, the garrison of the PNP. That's where they put every single individual that they want to give some money. They did not to show up to work. And Douglas Chambers attempt to clean it up. And God bless his soul. These guys have no moral authority to speak to us, man. And let me tell you something. If we don't continue, neighbor, if we don't continue to amplify these things and remind the younger people protecting who are coming in now, who have never seen a PNP government before, and who might want to gamble and flirt with the idea, it is our responsibility, we who have lived under the PNP, we who have lived 18 and a half years and experienced the degradation. Those of us who have seen 41,000 businesses collapse in this country, we have a responsibility to amplify it and make sure that younger people who are watching now and think that what we have, we must squander it, and not realizing that we had 30 years that we have lost because of poor governance.
Yeah. I want you to help me with something before I get over to protecting. I'm a little lengthy, guys. Please,
no problem, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, hold on, chops. We are not celebrating the gains in Jamaica. There's a tendency to zoom in on controversy, to amplify alleged missteps, to treat every challenge or criticism as a scandal. You know, consider how accusations, even against the Prime Minister, are seized upon and replayed relentlessly, casting shadows over the record of measurable progress. The fact of the matter, chops, is that there's very little to criticize in Jamaica today, you know. You don't agree with me?
I mean, we agree 100%, neighbor. And that's why I'm saying to people, most times, you see, to strike a balance and to get people to really be fair in their thinking, it starts with entities like JFJ. It starts with those non-profit organizations that have a voice. You see, what people fail to recognize is that when the country is doing well and we all line up behind whomever the leader is and start to highlight the positives, nobody's saying that the government is above criticism. Absolutely not. I criticize them too.
Or is to be unaccountable.
Not at all. They ought to be held accountable. And there are systems in government to hold them accountable. But I'm saying, equally, that you're holding them accountable with the right hand, you should use the left hand to give them the credit where credit is due.
Yes, sir.
Don't step past the credit and go. And if every single day all you can see is what's wrong with Jamaica,
yes,
all you can promote is what is wrong about Jamaica, then you're not a Jamaican.
Yeah.
You're not a Jamaican.
Protecting Jamaica.
Good evening, neighbor. Evening, Chopper, Caroline, those who are listening.
Blessings, sir.
We have ignored underperformers protecting, and we have scrutinized heavily performers. Darren Vaz is one of those ministers that has come under the greatest scrutiny, but he's a top performer. How comes?
I won't let Chop off the hook, neighbor. I won't let Chops off the hook at all. Those who listen to me can remember as far back, I've always been championing that the party central, those who have national influence, should say these things. You see how easy we're having a national or an international conversation about the issues? But we as bloggers and podcasters have been talking about these issues for many years. But the few people who listen to it, them just say, oh yes, man, that's true, or we don't agree with you. When you have people with national influence speak on these very same issues, take off the gloves or put on the gloves and step out and decide to take these issues on, then it becomes a national conversation. And when it becomes a national conversation, the people of Jamaica knows where the truth lies, and they knows who is fighting for them. And that's what the politics deserve, neighbor. And I am happy that Dr. Chang said what he said. I back him 1,000,000%. And I'm happy that Daryl Vaz has now joined my army. Having been one campaigning, I have got close to 500 people unsubscribing from the Gleaner, neighbor. I went on a campaign.
To get people to unsubscribe?
Yes.
Wow.
I went on a campaign for that. And I got close. I think it was, last time I checked, it was 480 something. Because I laid a case out, and the people who follow me, they did their research, them realized something's not adding up. And so they joined me on that mission. Now, I want the people to also notice what is happening. Dr. Tufton is performing.
Yes.
Daryl Vaz is performing. And the biggest performer in this regard is Daryl Vaz and the Prime Minister and Horace Chang. Them three together are the biggest performers in the entire government. Murders down below 700. The economy maintains its stability. We have passed through about 4 or 5 different situations that you could say are catastrophe type. And we have survived because of the leadership of Andrew Holness. Christopher Tufton is rebuilding the entire health sector from the ground up. These people, for the last 10 years, have been the most talked about, talked against, fought against, and mentioned people in the whole society. The performers. Now, it is us, neighbor, who have to help those who listen to us to understand how the politics works.
Well, that's great.
And just what you're seeing here, it works like this. So the performance of Daryl Vaz is what threatens the PMP and the institutions that support the PMP. But look at it, this, neighbor. And I always try to help the people to understand. From my perspective, I've served with Daryl. And one of the things that Bruce Golding could always do is rely on him. You see, if any ministry, anybody could not get anything done, Bruce Golding says, Pat, call Daryl. After all other avenues were exhausted and nothing could get done, Pat, call Daryl. And once Daryl show up, whether it be in 24 hours, 48 or 72 hours, something will be reported back.
What a fascinating point. I want you to double down on it. Hold on, sir. Because you don't go too fast when you hit the jackpot like this. You are making the point that the political opponents, and some of this is media, targets the performers.
Yes, and I'm going to go there now as it relates to drilling. You don't get it any better than this. Patriotic Jamaicans, neighbor rights. You don't get it any better than this, or any worse on the negative side. When you have the best friend of the opposition leader as chairman of the Gleaner, you can't get it no better than that. You do not get it any better or worse, whichever side of the pendulum you choose to measure, when you have one of the foremost journalists in Jamaica, a female, who sits in private meetings and plan with the opposition what line of attacks to use and how they are going to lead with certain information and stories, and then the opposition follows with the attacks. You don't get it any better than that. Now, what is happening in a neighbor? The black in the society, and if you notice when I speak about race, me talk about it Rachaban. Black people in the Jamaican society for the very first time in the last 10 years, for the very first time, this decade, is beginning to experience prosperity. Before 2016, it used to be the Azans, the Enriquez, and the Matalans, and the Shukirs, and all those names who you could associate success and prosperity with. When you have the chairman of the Gleaner, who is a part of his father's empire, construction empire, one of the leading figure. But now, no longer, they are told to get funding through your company, build houses however you choose, and charge whatever you choose because people need place to live. And so they manipulated the market. And so...
Yeah, don't call any names, you hear?
And so, sorry about that, neighbor. And so...
Don't call any names, I beg you.
No, man. If you notice, I've been trying my very best. If I was on my thing, Mother call all the names already.
Yeah.
And so, they manipulated the prices throughout the late 80s up to the 90s. A matter of fact, the beginning of the 90s, they started the manipulation of prices. Because that is the carte blanche mission that was given to them. Just go bill, get the financing in-house at whatever rate, go bill and charge whatever rate you so choose. When you have a situation like that, neighbor, that is now changing where the little man, I have never seen so many black construction companies building houses in Jamaica. Never. I have never seen so many black construction and engineering companies in Jamaica, engineering consultant firms in Jamaica making so much money. It is a testament of the economy that is being built out by this Jamaica Labour Party led by Andrew Holness and ably supported by people like a Daryl Vaz. Because don't bother thinking a neighbor. So Daryl Vaz only focused on telecommunication, energy and all that, you know. Anything you want Daryl to do, Daryl can get it done. And I am sure that the Prime Minister leans upon Daryl in more ways than just energy, telecommunication. Because he's that kind of person. When you have a Christopher Tufton who now watch the noise in the market, he knows what he's doing and he understands that those who are making noise don't want him to succeed. Because in a few years' time, the last time I saw the new Spanish Town hospital name, yes, I must say the third floor, them they are chaos. Them are chaos the third floor now. The last time I saw the Cornwall Regional and the Children's Hospital, it looked like the movie where one series they did on TV named must say ER. I say name? Sitting like I saw. Where when you're looking at them hospital, especially the where them stage the scenes for that show is a hospital show. Pristine quality equipment, just the whole environment, the ambience, everything. When you're looking at the new Cornwall Regional, that you see neighbor, they do not want this to happen.
Or they want to mar it with make it their scandal.
They want to mar it with when I did my piece on the Gleaner, I referred to them as manufacturers of fake outrage and fake scandals. They continue to manufacture scandals even today by using an 8-month-old letter as the main story on their front page. They're trying to manufacture a scandal. And they have not been successful in 10 years to manufacture any scandal. The last situation was when the two PMP them in the energy in Donga Petrodram said them go meet when them not gone on rob up how much money. I think Greenlee and one next one with them name. And KD Knight represented them in the court. Two comrades. And Andrew Wheatley had to resign over that. That's the last thing. They comrade them in the system and mash up the system while the JLP is government and make it look like say the JLP had do something. The PMP knows no better. Neighbor, look at this situation. For 32 years, the PMP have been begging and behaving like scavengers globally. With so much so that the rest of the world looked at Jamaica with scorn. And I always remind people that they were begging. Every grant that came to Jamaica cannot be accounted for. And because Andrew Wellness not stay like them in a neighbor. Every grant that came into Jamaica since 1989 with the PMP in power cannot be accounted for. And the last grant that Portia got and it almost turned one big thing and the gleaner covered her was the £9 million she got from Prince Harry to run water to Maxfield Avenue because people that Maxfield push a care water upon the head and a push water upon care at a standpipe. Up to today, that £9 million cannot be found, and people still down Maxfield Avenue a push water upon care and care upon their head. The People's National Party has no footing to stand on any issue in Jamaica. I'm not fact sure you say them don't even have no shame. They should not join any conversation in Jamaica that has to do with governance, economy, and success of any government. Because they don't understand that. Edward Seaga gave them the banking system, and because they don't understand money and bank, they mash it up. Them almost wreck culture, or they wrecked culture, thank God for Babsy Grange. Tourism was destroyed, thank God for Ed Bartlett. The health sector was demolished. Every clinic in every community across Jamaica was closed down because they could not finance those operations. Thank God for Andrew Holness and Christoph Tan. And the police did a drop through station floor, hurt themselves, injure themselves on the job, turn all handicap. Thank God for Horace Chang. We have a new stations. And these are the things that they don't like. And as I go back to where I started, and that is the reason why it is so important. I see Jamaica House now have a new program on nationwide. When they say Jamaica House on air, where every cabinet minister now go come every Tuesday and you can call and talk to them. They get the memo nearby, they got it. We have been calling for them to start attacking the issues frontally, but also come out ahead of the headlines so that you diffuse whatever narrative that the PMP would want to spew. Stay current and stay relevant in the space. And thank God for Horace Chang. The JFJ, I have been saying it. Them a work for them plate of food. And on the backs of Jamaicans who have lost their lives, I don't hear JFJ say anything I know about the three who get shot and dead. I don't hear JFJ say 4-year-old dead or the 4-year-old get our throat cut. I don't hear JFJ say nothing to the police them. They are not. They are it because
let me go to
them on the blood of Jamaican people.
All right. Let me jump over to Sonny. Hello. Your school. You've been here a long time. Sonny. Hi.
Hey you.
Hello, sir. Microphone is muted. Sonny T. Sonny T. Not there. Chuck Finley.
My fellow cockroach journalist, good afternoon, sir.
No, sir, we graduate from that. No, man.
All right. We're no official journalists.
Graduate from that. Chuck, why do you think the Gleaner chose this moment to publish Mark Golding's 2025 letter asking for a probe into the rural school bus procurement, even though the letter is 8 months old. What makes old documents front page news?
I would say it was a slow news day, and that's the only thing that they could find. But neighbor, and first, let me say good night to chaps.
So it has achieved its objective.
It has achieved its objective to dominate a slow news day. But neighbor, you don't need to order probing anything in Jamaica today. The difference now, more than probably 20 years ago, is that the Auditor General is working alongside every government project in real time. Not waiting for a project to complete and then go in and look after and then say, 6 months ago you spent too much. The Auditor General is auditing every project in real time. So they are at the table, they are in the field, they are in the book, everywhere. They are doing this in real time. So Mark Golding don't need to be calling for a probe. Similar, Mark Golding don't need to be calling.
Let's get that again. You're saying that every procurement is audited.
It's audited.
So then the opposition leader don't need to call from us.
Don't need to call for a probe. There's no need to call for it in today's governance structure in Jamaica. Real-time auditing is taking place. Real time. Right? So in doing that, it's just, as Protecting would say, it's for grandstanding, it's to grab the headline, it's to give the word that slipped me. It's to pretend that they're actually doing something when they are not, that they are achieving something when they are not. Right?
No, Minister Vaz, Chuck, has accused the Gleaner of colluding with the opposition to undermine the government. From an analytical standpoint, what would constitute evidence of media collusion? And do we see that here more? Is that true?
It is 100% true, neighbor. 100% true. And I'll give you the first instance of that collusion, neighbor. And I will take you as far back as to 2024, when the report of them auditing people was sent to Parliament, right? And it was tabled in Parliament at 2:30, a 170-page document. And by the time 3 o'clock comes around, Gleaner had a very full story, and that story was verbatim the talking points of the People's National Party as they responded to it, word for word, which led me to believe that this was discussed before it was tabled in Parliament. It was discussed by them. They had a story ready to go. All they had to do was to click send at 3 o'clock. All they had to do was to click send at 3 o'clock because everything was already done, neighbor. So the collusion is there. Gleaner has been hiding the successes of the government while doing its best to tell lies. You have never seen a Gleaner headline that says murder is down 40%. No, there's always a headline that says 20 people get murdered, but police said murder decline. There's not been a Gleaner headline reported that poverty has been cut by 50%. No, they might tell you, say a man over there so I live in a tent, but government say poverty decline. Everything that the Gleaner has done is to either prop up or amplify a PNP talking point.
Interesting. So you think that Vaz taking off the gloves, based on what he said today, is going to be interesting times coming up? What do you think he means when he says he's going to take off the glove?
I am looking for many more ministers to step up now and take the fight to these people. Many more ministers are going to step up. Started with Dr. Chang, and I'm expecting to hear Christopher Tufton come out also. We have to speak against these people, neighbor. We cannot allow them to pull down the achievements of our country and our government. We cannot. They keep doing it. And they must no longer get away with it, neighbor. So Darrell Vaz and the other ministers are now going to, we as bloggers have been speaking on it. And they have now seen the need to join the party. So I say to them, welcome. And we have been waiting for you guys.
Now, in terms of his performance, Chuck, as a minister, I'd like to hear you on this. It is widely believed, Chuck, that his performance has been remarkable.
For me, I have 3 ministers that I don't think I can separate at the top. It's Darrell Vaz, Christopherson, and Dr. Chang. It's difficult to separate who is the best performing minister. We can say whose performance have the greater impact, but as to say is a tie between those 3 ministers, and they are way out in front when it comes to performance. Darrell Vaz is a performer. Darrell Vaz is a top performer. I remember a couple of years ago, you know, when Bruce Golden named Darrell Vaz in the office of the Prime Minister, and he was asked by a Gleaner journalist nonetheless, why would he put somebody like Darrell Vaz in your office? Darrell Vaz is known as a bulldozer. And I remember that the Prime Minister at the time said to them that there are sometimes works come up where only a bulldozer can handle. So it's good to have one close by. Yes, sometimes the job come up where it's only a bulldozer can handle it. So it's good to have one close by. So they have been against Darrell Vaz, but not just now, for years, right? So they do not like to see today's success as Darrell Vaz. They don't like to see Darrell Vaz as a top performing minister. This does not fit to their narrative, right? And that's why search high or low, you won't find a Gleaner that report on the amount of health center that is being done. You won't find a Gleaner that report on the accuracy of the reduction in murder. You won't find a Gleaner that report on the work that Darrell Vaz did during hurricane, because these headlines don't support their narrative. This is not what their readers is looking for, right? So they have to now start calling them out. All the so-called civic school, all these so-called fake media houses, they are now gonna have to put up or shut up.
Wow. Chuck, finally, not only in Jamaica, but in other democracies, we tend to pull down those who achieve, even as we tolerate mediocrity. There was a time in Jamaica, Chuck, when you never heard these voices, when things were so mediocre.
You never heard any of them?
It's almost as if success itself becomes a target.
But Neighbour, you asked a question earlier about why are these high performing ministers being ripped apart. Now look at who is ripping them apart. People who accept mediocrity. People, they see a media house that sit by and allow 44,000 businesses to be ripped apart in this country without once attempting to hold the political leaders at the time available. Those are the people now are trying to rate performance. Right? Those are the people that are now trying to rate the performance. They have no credibility. They have no moral authority to speak. They were there when 44,000 businesses was being ripped apart. They were there when we lost 44% of our GDP. They were there when money was being siphoned off into Deering, Bunting, and Golden. They were there. What part did they play then to inform the people about what was happening? None.
Yeah. Let me. Somebody's asking for me to play.
Are you sure you want to stand by the line that the Gleaner and a media entity of decades of existence, that the Gleaner and the PNP have participated in a coordinated attack from the run-up to the last election on the school bus program? You're comfortable sticking with that?
100%, and not only in relation to the school bus, but many other. And I just need to remind you and ask the listeners to look at who is it that has been on a campaign to destroy Andrew Holness. Where do those articles come from every week in, week out, during election, before election, and after election? Yeah? Let me tell you something. I am in the departure lounge. I have a few good things to do for this country. Yes? And I have taken off my gloves. Yes, I'm going to come out swinging because I am ready to retire, and I want to retire with my head high, and I'm not going to allow anybody or any institution or any political party to continue with the smear campaign against me, and now with my ministry and the school bus system.
Are you sure you want to?
Chuck, it's a smear campaign against vows?
It's a smear campaign against the entire government, not just
Wow.
the entire government, neighbor. The entire government. I said this, neighbor. How is it that you have an opposition leader stand in a parliament and tell people, speak to the prime minister saying, I represent 400,000 people and you'll be warned to take my advice? How is it an opposition leader could stand in the parliament and speak those divisive words?
Yes.
And not be held accountable by any journalist?
That is true.
In the house.
And not more that I think he has said it on at least 4 occasions.
Yes, he has. And no one has seen to hold him accountable.
By the way, you're on the ground, man. I see the 4th term being hashtagged all across Labour Party. Supporters seems buoyed, like they are ready to take on the 4th term starting from now. The campaign is on.
Campaign has been on since the day after election, neighbor. Not by us, we are just joining the campaign. But the PNP has never taken a time out to lick their wounds. They're just moving to the next phase. So we have to join them in that phase, neighbor. So
but they have been very negative. They have been very negative, Chuck. I mean, when you listen to the opposition in recent times, you wonder if they are really truly patriotic Jamaicans. They have been very negative, I must tell you.
Yeah, but I don't wonder if they're patriotic Jamaican. I know they're not.
They're not.
I know they're not patriotic Jamaican, neighbor. Neighbor, this is an organization that tells you that they put the organization above their family. Above their family. So being patriotic to Jamaica is not in their DNA. Being patriotic to their party is in their DNA, not Jamaica. And whatever it takes for the PNP to be in power is deemed to be good for Jamaica. Who spoke those words again?
And in the best interest of Jamaica, that's it. That's a part chairman for life.
And for life, whatever it takes, neighbor. You have that. When you have that thinking, neighbor, it's clear that patriotism is not in your mind. It's party, the love for party, neighbor. I've seen members here, neighbor, accuse members of their own party of being too honest.
Yes, and one of the things I find distasteful, Chuck, that the PNP has the audacity, really audacity, to be challenging and criticizing the government for trying to build back the country after a hurricane. Because it's not about the taxes, That's not the thing. It's that the government is trying to rebuild back the country and the PNP is criticizing that. So we must let the country not build it back.
And neighbor, the fact that they are able to get away with what they are doing it says so much about our media landscape.
And our people too, sir.
And our people. But neighbor, it's the media that is responsible for informing the people. And if the media is not informing the people, then the people will be led astray.
Well, I hear all of them criticize. I hear all of them complaining that they're not getting the money, even nationwide. They have to be cutting programs and all of that because things tight. Social media tend to be dominating stuff. That's not bad.
And I said this to you, neighbor. I said it to you again. I'm going to say it before. Before social media, the PNP was able to win 4 general elections. Since social media, the Jamaica Labour Party has won 4 general elections. I leave you to ponder what that means for the media in Jamaica.
We need to do a collab, me and you.
Anytime you're ready.
Yes, man. Talk to my moderator. Take care of yourself. I'm connecting.
Good evening, neighbor, everybody.
Before I go back to Chops Media. Good evening, sir. Your comments?
All right. You remember you and I were having a discussion, and you asked me the question if I would ever support the People's National Party anytime. And I told you that I would rather die.
You would rather die?
Yes. I stand by that. I also told you.
Yolan, you would rather die than supporting the People's National Party.
And I mean every word that I said.
Your life.
I would rather that.
Which is so valuable, there's no price. You would rather die.
I would rather give up my most precious.
So bad is the PNP.
I would rather give up my most precious possession, the right to life.
Boy, I tell you.
I told you too that if the gangsters they form a political party, to easier for me to support them than the PNP. I mean that as well.
You would rather support
I would rather support all the gangs coming together to form a political party than to support the PNP. You listen to what?
Yeah. You think they are that bad? You think they are that bad, man?
The evidence is there, though, you know? It is the evidence is manifestly there that they are that bad. Yes.
They're that bad.
Yes. The evidence is there. But some of us don't want to hear the evidence, and that is why the PNP is so afraid of their past, their wretched past. They are terrified by their past.
They have not had a very good past for true, sir. They have not had a very good past for true.
They don't want you to go back.
And this leader that they have, Mark Golding, sir. I don't know that Mark Golding is cutting it at all, you know, connecting. You don't think that he's part of the problem?
A huge part of it.
You think
part
so?
of the problem is Mark Golding. Yeah. Let me tell you something, neighbor.
Yes.
If you can't, if the leader of the opposition,
Golding now gonna make it.
If the leader of the opposition, you see, can't give an accurate account as to how he met his wife. I have 2 accounts given by him.
No, well, left him wife out of it, but let's talk about him.
No, man, he spoke about his wife publicly. You know, he said that he met her at a turntable club.
Yes.
At a double date. You remember that interview abroad?
No. I didn't remember. I don't remember it.
No, man. He said that. He said he met her they had a double date at turntable club, and they went and the dance floor and they were dancing. Oh. And they won. They came first or second in the dance competition.
He can dance, huh? Golding can dance.
Why?
Oh, I don't know that.
And then he has another account. He said, I met my wife at Augustown, where she's from.
When the rum tell you you're a big dancer, he's a bad word. He's a bad word. Because bad word, I know that. I don't know if he can dance. Anyway, yes. I have never heard Golding say anything positive about Jamaica, you know, sir. Never. No. I've never heard Golding mention a thing that is positive, uplifting about Jamaica. Never heard it. You always
no, not only him, you know, not only him.
He needs to do better than that.
Yeah.
Golding, you need to do better than that, man. Chop.
You're better than you're better than that.
Yeah, he needs to do better than that. He's not.
You know, DJ Chromas, you know, always said that.
What about the Ras? You think the Ras would do better than him? I see Senator Floyd Morrison coming out today to say he has the majority support in the party. And they stand solidly behind him. Golding.
Mr. Golding?
Yes, that is Senator Floyd Morrison say. Morris? Say Golding has the majority. Yes. But Golding now gonna make it, sir.
His best chance was 2025.
Oh.
That was his best chance.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yes, they're divided over there, so in terms of whether he's to go or not. But I understand that he's digging in.
Well, time will tell.
Time will tell indeed. Let me go back to Chop. Mr. Chops? Mr. Chops Media?
Yes, man, I'm here.
As the government now embarks on.
Yeah, man, I'm here, neighbor.
Yeah, man, listen to me. The government is now embarking on its budget process going forward. And by the way, Chops, I understand that the people that the government has already given out $2 billion worth of money in the economy to help with hurricane recovery.
The government has earmarked $2.4 billion for the rebuilding after the hurricane. And that's 2.4 billion that is money ready to be disbursed. Money ready. All you need to do is to come with projects and participate in the space where recovery is concerned. And these has to do with resilient projects and projects that has to do with rebuilding infrastructure in a more modern way, you know. But yes, 2.4 billion US dollars.
US dollars. Yeah, I was saying that I understand that more than 2 billion Jamaica has already been distributed. A lady called me last week, Chops, and said that she got $200,000 a voucher, a check for $200,000. Have you ever remembered that time in Jamaica when people were getting this amount of support from government, sir?
No, sir. I mean, what we have seen since COVID and how the government has responded, it's unprecedented. We're in unprecedented time, you know, neighbor.
Yes, sir.
The word economy had eluded us for many years. And thanks to the Jamaica Labour Party for bringing it back into sharp focus and making a lot of Jamaicans understand the importance of having a good economy. If it wasn't for prudent management of the economy, we would not be able to respond the way we are responding now to this aftermath. And I believe that if you notice what has happened is that the Bank of Jamaica has now revised their original prediction. And that's another positive for us, because what they thought would have been, you know, way more devastating, they are now walking that back to say it is not bad as we thought it would. And as such, it is expected that we can recover faster. A lot of the houses that got damaged would have already replaced their roofs and are back up and running. And even those who have replaced their roofs and all that good stuff, the Prime Minister is saying that they still will be building out a mechanism in this whole program to ensure that those persons can still receive something, you know, towards what they have already done. So, yeah, what we're seeing now is unprecedented, neighbor.
Place in context for me, Chops, if you may, how impressive the government's response has been up to this point. Many have still been very critical, but place in context for me how impressive it has been to the point where we are now able to put $500,000 in the hands of some of our citizens. That's a remarkable thing, man.
Absolutely. I mean, if you were to just look at the bringing the electricity back into the grid and bringing back the communities and the town centers back up and running, and 95 or probably almost 100% of residents would have now been back with electricity. This is unbelievable. I mean, there are first world countries who would have had similar hit by hurricane and cyclones. And it took years for them to get their grid back up and running and get things back into some semblance of normalcy. Today, we have electricity in 98% of JPS customers. People are rejecting food, saying that they have enough food and they want no more. Yeah. To be able to come out of a hurricane of this magnitude, neighbor, and you have not stopped one single national project. That alone in of itself, when you make the comparison to past government, whenever we have a heavy flooding, not just hurricane, just a heavy flooding in Jamaica, we would have to stop our national projects and divert that funding towards responding to the disaster.
A little bit of break.
All the commitments that they have made in terms of salary increase, they are still honoring those. These are things, these are remarkable achievements. Under the previous JLP government, way back in the 80s, or even in the 2007 period, if we were hit by a category 4 or 5 hurricane, the ring road in Montego Bay would have to stop. All the projects that we would have earmarked for national development would have to stop, because we would never have the money to respond to the disaster while carrying on with national projects. Thank God we are able to do both, and we are doing it effectively.
That's true. Chops. We tend to hold successful leaders to impossible standards, demanding perfection while celebrating mediocrity in others. It's like we fixate on allegations and ignore outcomes. We confuse noise with news. Quite frankly, I think this Labour Party government has so much good things to talk about that I kind of sometimes wonder, where are the criticisms and what is there to criticize? It's amazing.
It comes down to one thing in the neighbor that I've always said, and I don't know if anybody in the panel here agree with me, but I think that Jamaica is heavily anti-government to the extent that they're just, it doesn't matter what government does. And that is fueled by our major...
I need to say this though, because in truth and in fact, for the last 3 terms, the majority of Jamaicans have evaluated both parties and have said, we'll remain with this one. That's significant.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure that if an election were held today in Jamaica, the result would have been the same. The PNP would not have won.
No, I don't think the PNP has done enough, neighbor, to be returned to power. They have not denounced their previous performance. They have not, denounced what the previous PNP administration have done. They have not apologized to the Jamaican people for their mistakes. They have devastated this country back in the 1990s, the loss of 41,000 businesses. And the PNP would have said to some Jamaicans that were their best period of governance. Now, how do you relate to the Jamaican who would have lived through the 1990s, whose family members would have lost their homes, lost their businesses, some committed suicide, and you're telling them that was the best period of the PNP? Who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah, that's
the question we need to ask these people.
Gonna leave it there for you tonight, Chops. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir. All the best.
Yeah, we'll come back again soon. Moderator, you have some other people waiting in the box for me there. I have another 13 minutes. Let's give protecting 333.
Excuse me, neighbor. We have Charles 7781.
Okay, Charles, are you from England, sir? Hello, King. Hello, Charles. Charles? Okay. Charles, open your microphone. No. Hello, Charles. Hello. All right. Good night, caller. Hello. Good night, caller. Good night, caller. Hello, caller. Good night.
Don't do that no more.
I'm not playing with you though. I'm literally just existing in here. I came up the room and I came.
$11 minutes to 10. Hi. Ian Dawson said the beautifulest moderator. Ian Dawson, you coined that word, man. You make that word yourself? Beautifulest. I've never heard that one. Beekeeper, by the way, beekeeper? No. All right, so let protecting Jamaica. No, he's not here either.
Yeah, neighbor.
Yeah, man, are your time again? In the 5 minutes or so that I have left with you, protecting. I want you to place Darrell again for those who did not get into context from him. Get us to understand the type of minister he is and why you say he's coming under the attack. And then I want you to end by making the appeal again to to the Prime Minister to ask Darrell to stay on for a little longer. It's not you who said it, but I think Chops mean that. But I'd like you to do that for me again.
Darrell Vaz is a special human being.
Yes, sir.
And he's somebody who, without any doubt, because I know these people, I know them, and without any doubt, he's among the group of people in Jamaica that I've always talked about, the group that forms the Jamaica Labour Party, who cares genuinely about Jamaica. And all of them, I think they perform in their own way, but Darrell is the performer, and he's an asset. Somebody like Darrell is an asset. As I said, I know the gentleman personally, and I know of instances that, you know, certain people had to say to themselves, boy, a good thing we have Darrell. You know? He's that kind of person. And what is happening now is just pure politics. Pure politics stemming from grievances. I mean, and to put it in a raw way, as the Prime Minister always says, it's bad mind. It's nothing but bad mind. And we should see it as nothing other than that. And we should not be afraid to mention it. Call it what it is. It is pure bad mind. And I tell you, there are more ministers who will be performing in this iteration of the government. Minister like Andrew Wheatley is going to perform. Minister like Audrey Marks is going to perform. Dana Morris Dixon, she is going to perform, because many of the different policies that were put in place and a lot of the work done before now, they're going to be bearing fruit. The fruits are going to be showing up now. And the more the results clear is, the more the attacks will come. The attacks are going to be falling from all angles, neighbor and listeners. And so, again,
is this the country
it is
we are
for
living in,
us?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a new world. It's a new world, neighbor. It has a broader scale than just Jamaica, because we have not, as people in the world, yet learned how to properly navigate social media. And so a lot of the attacks are going to come through social media, especially these media entities now. They realize that social media is where it's really happening, and they are really gearing up themselves and ramping up their presence in the social space or spaces. And the Gleaner RGR and TVJ is no less. And as I've been saying to you guys, look out for CVM, because since that deal signed between Mark Golding and them down at Arnett Garden, CVM has just become a junk to me. You know, so the government on a wider scale is going to come under more attacks, especially closer to the end of this year, leading him to the full life of the local government term next year, February. We're going to see more of it, because as I tell you, the PMP and their surrogates are going to pitch the local government election.
Do you think government will go forward with it, or you think they'll delay?
I think they will. I think the government has nothing to fear now in using the local government to test the waters early.
So early?
So that, yes, man, you still have to test the pulse of the people. But still yet, the government, if they are able to put together a good plan to win majority or all the councils, it would be the best time now for the government to win, so that they can have the councillors on their sides as they seek to effect the changes, the transformation right across Jamaica in this term. A lot of the programs started 3-4 years ago in a neighbor. Like, for example, that new dam that is being built out by St. Catherine there. It is going to come on stream in another 2-3 years, you know.
Yeah, but the third term saw a lot of infrastructural improvements too, sir.
Yes.
I don't think that can be outdone.
Trust me, neighbor, you're going to see. Remember the 51 bridges, you know? You remember that deal with England, the 51 bridges? 51 new bridges? Okay.
And you're saying that hospitals like Cornwall Regional, Spanish Town, all of these will be reopened in this term?
In a few years, in a few months, Cornwall Regional will be coming online. In a few months, the Montego Bay bypass will be coming online. I mean, some sections of it, I heard, will be opening, you know, for use even before the full completion. So there are a lot of things to be coming on stream. Remember, there were 100 water projects at different stages, you know. So the premise of will it more ribbon for cut and will it more doors to open, you know. So the second term will be outdone by the third term as we move into the fourth term. And so the PMP and their surrogates know this. They know this. And they know that it is only with time that this foundation will set. And once it's set, there is no removing it. You can't dig it up once it's set. And that is why they were mad up at winning the election September 3rd. Because they knew and they still know that if you allow Andrew the third term, the PMP will have no talk in Jamaica anymore.
You mean the fourth term?
No, man, September 3rd was very pivotal for them.
Oh.
Neighbor, billions of dollars spent in that by, pun intended, election, you know.
Yes.
Billions spent, you know. Because they know that if they allow Andrew Holness to continue a third term, all their dreams and aspirations of leading and effecting any change in Jamaica is dead. Remember, Jamaica is a small place in a neighbor and neighbor rights. It's a very small place, you know. So the government is fixing water now. You know the biggest project that is left, two biggest projects that is left in Jamaica to be done. I mean, no, say Andrew Holness are going to start them before the third term done. The sewage system in Kingston and the metropolitan area, the sewage system to be rebuilt. That is another huge project. And a national drainage network is to be built out to take off the water. Because if we're having more rainfall than in past times, it means that we're experiencing the flooding because whatever drainage existed and whatever little scratching is to scratch out the roadside for water run, it's not working. So a massive national drainage network need to be built right throughout the country. These are the two biggest projects that are left. When Andrew done, everybody are going to have a house in Jamaica living now. National Water Commission are going to have everybody yard. Roads are going to be up. And so when you look at all this, with the new energy license that will be negotiated by this government for the first time in about 30 years.
May Lord JPS
energy
build. Yeah.
It will. And then now, it is estimated that about 7 billion barrel of oil, the underground there, when them done test with the air, so them need to move to the next level of the analysis now.
Oh.
So if that ever pop, there's nothing for PMP telling people them say them are going to do again. Then can't tell them say them are going to fix crime. You notice the PMP never talk about crime in the last election?
That is true.
Who noticed that the PMP never have one argument about crime in the last election?
So
more the government, the longest the government stay in power, it is the less that the PMP has
solutions to Jamaica.
Tell people that they come to fix. So Darrell Vaz is going to be very pivotal in how the project with the light and power company move forward. I believe the government is going to buy back Marabini share, the 40%, make it 59%, and then put it on the stock exchange and give it to the people, make the people invest. There's no other way. It has to be that way. So I believe that even more prosperity will be unfolding in the third term going into the fourth term. And so the PMP hardly will have anything to tell the people of Jamaica that they are coming to do. Them can't say them are going to fix road. Because this is one of the most robust road program I have ever seen. Them can't say them are going to build house. Because Andrew already built more house than them and them in a power the longest.
Yes.
So there's hardly anything for the PMP to tell the people of Jamaica that they are, and that's why you see they are earnestly trying to manufacture a scandal against the government, because there's no scandal, you know. They are trying to manufacture it. So Gleaner is the factory. The Gleaner is the factory trying to manufacture the scandal. Kayongo the manufacturing in our factory. So the Gleaner is now the factory trying to manufacture a scandal against the government, and it's not working. So Daryl Vaz, Andrew Holness, and the entirety. Daryl is going to be a hero, neighbor. I remember when the school bus them reached Jamaica, some of the comrades them were living at the diaspora up north. Them were on TikTok telling people, not even America can use them a bus again. And thank God for the sensible labor, right? Them who understand the politics. Who video the bus them, go on live and show the bus them and pick up people picnic. And I show them, say, these are the buses used in the United States, Canada, and so on. So this alone, bringing transportation to rural Jamaica for children, for the first time, we are making it fair in the country. And not just Kingston and St. Andrew and Portmore picnic benefit from a subsidized national transportation system. So all of this, the people of Jamaica should realize that not because Mark Golding says something, I say it go. But then again, we were engineered to think that God is white. So that catch we. And we don't let it go, and we can't let it go. Because we're engineered to believe, say, anything that is white is good, and anything is black is bad. And we need to re-engineer our people. We need to begin the re-engineering of our people, neighbor. And then we will come out on the brighter side of things. We'll land this again for now.
Very good. Great man.
I hear one man say that it's a little girl, I don't know if it's his daughter, coming home from school and he asked her, where is the ribbon? And she said, Andrew, come to the ribbon. You know why I cut the ribbon? Because I was opening up a new daycare and a new school.
And just a walk a cut ribbon.
So I am cutting ribbon at school, daycare, everywhere.
Fantastic. Connect him.
Yes, sir. I just want to piggyback quickly on something that was...
Wrap up for me now.
Yes, man. I won't be long. I won't be long. What has happened, you see? We have a very hard-working government. We have some hard-working ministers. Because, I mean, persons like Floyd Green in agriculture, Matthew Samuda in water. Look at the tourism minister, Ed Bartlett, how many awards he has got, and I don't hear his name mentioned. So the thing is, we have a hard-working prime minister and some very hard-working, dedicated ministers who are getting the results. But I would like to also add that Daryl Vaz, I don't know where he got the capacity from. The man is deep, and he has his eyes on the ball. he has two major ministries, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And it seems to me that he's also consulted by other ministers. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. He's a troubleshooter, he's a go-getter, he's a problem solver. I would call him the creme de la creme of government ministers, Daryl Vaz. You know? There's a vlogger named Chromas, no, DJ Chromas. He said that, remember, the People's National Party, the people who support the PNP are not Jamaicans. And he said when they go to write up their passport or any other document, and they ask their nationality, they shouldn't put Jamaican, they should put PNP. As their nationality, they should put on the document that they are PNP. They are not loyal to this country. They don't think Jamaica, they think about themselves and their party and their supporters and their surrogates. And that is why they do so badly when they are in government. Because they don't have this broad picture on what it is that they want to do to develop Jamaica and to allow the country and the people to prosper. They think about, they are more individualistic than anything else, you know? And because it was, well, the chairman of Life was the one who told us that they will do whatever it takes for them to win the election. And if it means that red syrup will run, if the red syrup will run for them to win, red syrup is going to run. Follow me? Yeah, but I realize the closing down now, so I don't know if you want any from anybody else.
No, man, I'm gonna take up somebody else. So you take care of yourself.
Yeah, man, all the best. Thanks, neighbor. All the best, gentlemen and ladies. Everybody.
All right.
Take time, take care of yourself, Mr. Morgan. God bless.
All right. Hello, Scratchy. How are you?
My neighbor, my protective and everyone. Caroline, no problem.
Respect, my brother.
How are you doing, Scratchy?
I'm here, neighbor. I'm here chilling.
Your perspectives are always very welcomed. You know, Scratchy. The media in Jamaica, Scratchy, as a matter of fact, I see a lot of the traditional ones suggesting that they are struggling. You don't think that they have caused this problem on themselves, Scratchy, by the way they have handled their reports and their news, especially in a country that is as polarized as Jamaica?
Definitely, neighbor. One of the things that I believe, neighbor, with media in Jamaica, neighbor, I think our population, neighbor, is too small for traditional media, neighbor, to take sides with political organization. And you know that I think that would definitely affect them. Once in a small population of 2.8 million people, and you have a traditional media, neighbor, who's taking side in a political argument in a country that is so politically divided and so polarized, you know, compared to the United States, neighbor. When you look at the United States, Fox News tend to lean with the Republican, you see the CNN tend to move with the Democratic, and you can see that, neighbor, even recent years, neighbor, we have seen those two major organizations take side, neighbor. They're both also suffering as a loss of lost revenues, neighbor, and poor ratings because of how they broadcast information, neighbor. So once you are no longer seen as credible, once you are no longer seen as factual, neighbor, you will definitely suffer the cost, and it will definitely come at a financial cost. That is what we're seeing right now.
And Jamaica is not as large an economy as America.
Exactly.
So when you take sides in Jamaica, Scratchy, you are going to limit yourself to a broader scope of support. You know, I mean, even on this program, Scratchy, clearly the majority of the persons here feel that the Jamaica Labour Party ought to continue in government. But even here, we have to maintain a certain level of, you know, to make sure that we do not, you know, we reach as many people as we can.
Yeah, all you have to do, neighbor, just make sure that you're factual. Once you're factual, neighbor, once you're factual, it doesn't matter where the facts lies. There's the facts lies.
Don't be propagandist.
Yes, just be factual, neighbor. And I think that is what we're seeing now, because if you look at what is happening, neighbor, with that major the media group right now, neighbor, what we're seeing, neighbor, is that I don't know, neighbor, the investors, neighbor, they need to come to the board, they need to call up this chairman, neighbor, and say to him that it is simple, neighbor, because the Gleaner group, neighbor, I can call them name, the Gleaner group, neighbor, I think the Gleaner group, neighbor, has blundered, neighbor, because this Gleaner group has sided with the People's National Party, neighbor, and when you look at the People's National Party, neighbor, and the supporters, not to bash anyone, neighbor, but to look at the supporters of the People's National Party, neighbor, these are not the persons who, neighbor, who are going to readily go and support the Gleaner, like in buying newspaper, read daily tabloids and stuff like that, neighbor. These persons are not among the most intellectual. We know we're the most intellectual of our country lies, you know. They lies within the Jamaica Labour Party. And if you go against an organization, neighbor, where the majority of its supporters are the more intellectual in the country, neighbor, and you're someone who's selling a product that has to do with information, you're going to suffer desperately and suffer badly. And that is what is going on right now with that media group, neighbor. Well-thinking Jamaicans, neighbor, who understand facts and know information, neighbor, they're taking themselves away from that media house, neighbor, because they're no longer credible.
Yeah, and the expansion of media in the 90s, well, in the early 2000s too, Scratchy, has not helped. There are literally about 30 radio stations in Jamaica. The Jamaica Labour Party is in government. Someone told me a couple of days ago that the Jamaica Labour Party may be in power for quite a bit more time. It's not going to be very good of you to try to fight against a government like this, Scratchy. All you need to do is report, as you said earlier, report the facts, report the stories that are relevant, that which is happening in the country. People will support you.
Neighbor, people want to know about the good news. People want to read about the good news, neighbor. So if you're hiding the good news, neighbor, why someone is going to support you when you're hiding the good news? You'll come now with a letter that was written 8 months ago and put that at the front page of your daily tabloid, neighbor. That's total madness. That is total madness. You're trying to bring along something that will pass already. We passed this whole school bus system already. We shouldn't be talking about school bus again today, 2026, neighbor. We passed that. We have seen the rollout of the school buses, neighbor. We see how good the school bus program is. Why is the school bus program still a problem? So that goes to show you, neighbor, that the Gleaner, neighbor, is definitely lacking. And I can say, neighbor, they chose the wrong side, neighbor. They chose the side, neighbor, that doesn't want information. They chose the side, neighbor, that doesn't read and that doesn't have the financial strength neither to support them in terms of buying whatever service they provide. And that is why the Gleaner company is suffering, neighbor, financially.
Yes. And then Scratchy, to attack a minister that in the eyes of Jamaica is a performer, well-liked, has got to be a mistake.
Definitely, neighbor. If you attack someone like a Mr. Vows, neighbor, we see the type of minister Mr. Vows is, very attacking minister, a very forthcoming one, a very forward-thinking one, neighbor. And that's someone who will shy away, neighbor, from stating what is on his mind, neighbor, and making the facts straight. So when you attack someone like that who is getting good results, neighbor, you're going to definitely face some form of rebuttal, neighbor, from the wider society. And that is why the Gleaner blunder again, neighbor. That's the neighbor, the investors of this organization, they need to come out, neighbor, and meet with the chairman or meet with the group, neighbor. They need to call an annual general meeting or something, neighbor, because I can definitely tell you, neighbor, that all the persons who have invested in this organization over the years, neighbor, this is probably the worst that they have seen this organization, neighbor. This is
you mean the Gleaner? You mean the Gleaner?
Yes, neighbor. All the persons who have invested in this group, neighbor, they can tell you, neighbor, that this is probably the worst they have seen them, neighbor. This is an organization that is branded, neighbor, as the old lady of North Street, neighbor. And right now, neighbor, they are definitely becoming the real old lady of North Street, neighbor. You know, for them very soon, neighbor, they won't even be any relevant to them again.
Yeah. You think that the onset of social media, TikTok, these live programs, I was today when I was out, I came in, I was browsing a little bit, and when you look at the cumulative amount of people that are watching live Scratchy, thousands of people, you know, Scratchy. Do you think that this is really the problem, that the live shows, social media has just really captured the imagination of people, and people just feel that this is more interactive, this is more credible for them, it's more in line with their values, and they will stay here?
To a certain extent, neighbor, yes, to a certain extent, neighbor, the younger population, especially, neighbor, they're not interested in. They're not interested.
For example, we have hit almost 8,000 since we've started here tonight. This is not bad, Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor, you're 100% correct, neighbor. The younger population, neighbor, is not interested in radio, is not interested in some of the format the traditional media is used to, neighbor. Not everyone right now, neighbor, is going to sit down, neighbor, with a 15 or a 20-page gleaner and going through that gleaner again, neighbor. And if you look at how persons used to use the gleaner, neighbor, with the advent of technology, neighbor, it has become much more easier, neighbor. You know, persons used to look into the classified.
No disrespect, but someone told me last week that they used to use it when they went to that house, the little house.
Yes, and it is more used. It is more using for that now, neighbor. It is more.
No man. Mr. Sandra Blue said they don't use those toilets again. They need a flush toilet stuff.
Exactly, and I can tell you, neighbor, that the gleaner they're outdated, neighbor. Because I remember one time, neighbor, in Jamaica, if you have a vehicle, you need to wipe down a glass or anything. The type of material that the gleaner uses is very good to wipe down your car glass and stuff. Now it's very hard to find piece of newspaper, neighbor. Nobody not reading newspaper again. So I would say yes, the advent of technology.
Well, you know, Scratch, it's not even about the paper itself, because I think the world has transitioned, and
from print media.
From print, you can actually read it online.
Digital.
In other words, you can subscribe and get the news, because I think that when you look at the Great Britain and even the United States, there are newspapers there that do very well, you know, Scratchy.
Yes, the Guardian, New York Times, and all of those things. Yes,
they are still a part of our population that wants to read. All people that wants to read. It is what you read in, Scratchy.
Exactly.
And all of that.
What you read.
Look how many people we get over here to listen to the neighbors' notes. It is something that we write. We could publish it, and people would print it. As a matter of fact, that's something that I think we should do. We should publish the notes, print the notes, and publish it, and people buy it and read it.
Yeah, but I would advise any media outlet in Jamaica, neighbor, that the worst thing that they can do, neighbor, is try to be biased, neighbor, in their coverage and in the dissemination of information, neighbor, because Jamaica is so polarized, neighbor. We're polarized, so we're not just with the people, neighbor, even with the businesses, neighbor, that are in Jamaica, neighbor. They are also polarized, and if someone tends to support a political organization and believe that your media house is against that political organization, neighbor, they're not gonna come and advertise with your company, you know. They're gonna try to deviate from your company. So again, as I said, neighbor, our population is too small for that, neighbor, and
our economy.
Our economy is too small for that, and the well-thinking and the thinking, neighbor, of our citizens, neighbor, are not ready for that as yet, neighbor. So I would definitely say, neighbor, that for the best interest of these media houses, they find back themselves, neighbor. And I can say that one of the biggest mistakes was made, neighbor, was when the Press Association of Jamaica, or even the government to a certain level, neighbor, they should have never allowed the Gleaner company, neighbor, to acquire such a large amount of our media space, neighbor. It helped cause a detriment to the space as well, neighbor. That was a big blunder, neighbor. The Gleaner company should have never, neighbor, managed to control so many sectors or so much big large percentage of the media, neighbor. It was a big detrimental to media in Jamaica. I think that is where media was lost its wits, neighbor. I definitely think so.
Okay. No, Scratchy. I raised another point tonight that that we are living in a time. It is an amazing phenomenon where the best government we have had is coming under the greatest attack. It is amazing, Scratchy. There is no question that what we are experiencing in Jamaica, we have never experienced before. I tell you this. And if I get the support, I probably will do it. To go into rural Jamaica. I heard you say, Scratchy, leading up to the last election, that the elections are won in rural Jamaica. And you made mention that you have never seen as much water projects and roads and all of that in rural Jamaica, Scratchy. I went to a little top part in Manchester where I am from, and there is internet there, Scratchy. Cable. Rural Jamaica is being lifted up. And the point is, Scratchy, that the rural school bus service, a policy, a social policy, you did a lot of social work, Scratchy, is a transformational policy. Isn't that so?
A very transformational one, neighbor, one that was well needed, neighbor, especially for the rural side of the island, neighbor. We have seen over the years, neighbor, where We see we're coming back to school, neighbor, where so many accidents happening, neighbor, where school students, school children losing their life, neighbor, as a result of the mode of transportation, neighbor. We have seen where school students, neighbor, are easily taken away, neighbor, as a result of the mode of transportation. We have seen where even students are being asked to sit down in adults' laps, neighbor, as a result of the mode of transportation, neighbor. So this is something, neighbor, that was definitely needed, neighbor, at this time, at this particular time, neighbor. And I think the government saw it, neighbor. The government went out of the way, neighbor, and said, yes, we have to implement this. And it's just so sad, neighbor, to know that the opposition, neighbor, and its proxy groups, neighbor, are so much trying to banter this type of project, neighbor, when something like this, neighbor, should be pushed and even endorsed. You know, the Gleaner should even make a special part in the Gleaner, neighbor, where they highlight the good that is coming out of this bus service every single week, you know.
I'm wondering about that, but not only the Gleaners, Scratchy. There is no news outlet in Jamaica. I see TVJ saying they're going to Negril to report on something. I see Nationwide gone down to the urban center. A success. The urban center is no failure, Scratchy.
Yeah,
the urban center is no failure. Whether it is occupied and not have water. And what is wrong with some of our people?
Yeah,
that is no failure.
The urban center cannot be a failure, neighbor. The urban center is not just for right now, neighbor. The urban center is something, neighbor, for the future development of St. Thomas and the greater Jamaica, neighbor. So even if there isn't any water there right now, even if there isn't any light there right now, neighbor, I know that it is being put in place. And even if the shops aren't occupied 100% right now, neighbor, it's for the future, neighbor, and this is what we need, forward thinking and moving forward. So it is good, neighbor, to know that we have a well-developed urban center like that, neighbor, somewhere where persons' pride and dignity can come in place. Persons can use these services with pride and dignity. So I can't see it as a failure, neighbor.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think I may be going. Well, no, I have a program tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Let me give me until next week, listeners. I'm going to go into, well, I don't want to give them any, but they can take it. I'm going to go into the rural communities and see if I can get some interviews, because you know, Scratchy, how do you transform a nation if you don't transform it socially, Scratchy? You know that there are reports that school attendance has gone up by 100% since the rural bus service come out, Scratchy. I mean, boy, I tell you, Scratchy, sometimes I'm just so discouraged.
Yeah, but before the school system, neighbor, the school bus system, neighbor, in rural Jamaica, neighbor, parents were being asked to pay $600 in some cases a day, neighbor, in transportation fees, neighbor. $400 a day, neighbor, in transportation fees, neighbor. So when time that can move from $600 a day, neighbor, to a minimal $100 a day, neighbor, you're gonna definitely see an increase in attendance, neighbor. You're gonna also see an increase in students, neighbor, by buying more from talk shop and canteens and being able to eat better, more quality and more healthier lunches and stuff like that, neighbor. And you're gonna see parents even being able to save more, neighbor, because if you used to spend $600 a day just on transportation for your children, then, neighbor, that's $3,000 a week. And if it got down to $100 now, neighbor, that's basically $500 a week. So it's a big drop that, neighbor, you're saving $2,500 right there off the bat. So persons never does. The person need to put the thing in context, neighbor, and stop trying to look for the thing from outside and try to be as real and try to take out the orange and the green out of certain things. Not everything, neighbor, should be seen with orange and green. Sometimes we have to look at some things, neighbor, for the benefit of the students, neighbor, and the beneficiary who are gaining the benefit from it, neighbor, and see how best is it in the interest of them or is it working against their interest. And I can say, neighbor, that the school bus system, neighbor, is something that is well needed in Jamaica, neighbor. This is something that is well appreciated, neighbor. And I can tell you again that no other government, neighbor, no other government has done more for rural Jamaica, neighbor, than this Andrew Wallace government, neighbor. None. Rural Jamaica was left behind, neighbor. That is why we have so many social decay in rural Jamaica. That's why we have so much poor infrastructure in rural Jamaica, neighbor. Because previous governments, neighbor, did not look on rural Jamaica. It was just Kingston and St. Andrew alone and St. James to a lesser extent. So it is great now, neighbor, when you see like Moko, neighbor, can get nice, pretty road, neighbor. When you see like Williamsfield and St. Elizabeth can get nice, pretty road, neighbor. And then a Duncans and a Trelawney can get nice, pretty road and water, neighbor. That is wonderful, neighbor. These persons also pay taxes, neighbor. And it is a shame to know that 2.8 million of us live on this island, neighbor, and only Kingston and St. Andrew are always benefiting from what is going on. When you look at the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, why do you think the Jamaica Urban Transit Company was losing and couldn't make and can't make no profit? You can't have a national bus system or where all of us is being asked as taxpayer neighbor to foot the bill for this bus system, but it's only persons who live in Kingston and St. Andrew alone benefiting, and I live in Clarendon, I pay taxes too. So why shouldn't I benefit from a bus system? So we have to just understand, neighbor, and know that the country is on a different path. Or the previous PNP administration used to govern, neighbor. The Jamaica Labour Party is governing different. We want every single person, neighbor, who contribute to the well-being of Jamaica, neighbor, through whatever tax means, neighbor, can benefit from whatever service the government is providing. No service that the government provides, neighbor, should be limited to any specific part of this island alone. Kingston and St. Andrew alone is not Jamaica, and Kingston and St. Andrew alone should not benefit from no service that is provided by the government, because it's only Kingston. When it's tax time, it is not Kingston and St. Andrew alone who pay tax. Every single one of us, whether we pay it directly or indirectly, we are asked to come and push up and pay our part in the advancement, neighbor. So we have to understand, neighbor, that the government is trying to spread what is going on. That is why, you see the JUTC bus now going to Manchester. You see the JUTC bus now going to Castleton in St. Mary. You see the JUTC bus, neighbor, finding new routes and stuff like that, neighbor, because we want these persons who live in these parts of these parishes, neighbor, to understand that this is a caring government, and not just a caring government, neighbor, we are also a sharing government, because you cannot just care and not share. So the two have to go together, neighbor. So we have a caring government and a sharing government, neighbor. And persons must understand and come to the reality that the governance style and the governance structure that we were used to, it is no longer, neighbor. We are seeing a new governance style and a new governance structure. We have a political organization now that forms the government, the Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, who thinks about the well-being of all Jamaicans, all 2.8 million or 3 million of us, not just the 400,000 who might go out and support us in the last general election, neighbor. Every single one, neighbor, this government will not left them behind. And we have to just understand that, neighbor, new governance style, new structure. And Jamaica alone is, neighbor, I told you, he has reshaped the political landscape from a political standpoint, neighbor, and he has reshaped the country from a governance standpoint, neighbor. Certain governance that we were used to in the past, we are not seeing that no more. And we have to just get used to it, neighbor. It's just a shame that the development of Jamaica, neighbor, is happening so fast that a lot of citizens, neighbors, are being left behind. It is just a shame.
Yeah. Before I take a break, Scotty, I get the sense, my brother, that we are breaking through, I get the sense that social media, TikTok, YouTube, that a lot of Jamaicans are listening, that their opinions are being shaped or reshaped, and that they are thinking about their country in a different way. Don't you get that feeling too, Scratchy, that the negative voices are becoming lessened? Less and less. Because even on a space like TikTok, Scratchy, you don't think that the Jamaica Labour Party shines up on these spaces more than the opposition?
Of course, neighbor. The Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, shine more on the social media platform, neighbor, than the opposition, neighbor. Because if you go and listen to the opposition, neighbor, and hear what they are talking about, neighbor, it's things to derail the success, neighbor, and the growth of the country, neighbor. When you look at the platform that support the Jamaica,
in other words, the narrative in voice is not what people are seeing and experiencing on the ground.
Exactly, neighbor. So when time a man come and say nothing go on, neighbor, a man can look and say, "Yo, I'm not seeing that." You can tell me say nothing go on.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I couldn't get a job. 10 years ago, I couldn't add on an extra room. 10 years ago, I had an outside bathroom. Now I can add a bathroom for my room. 10 years ago, I had an outside kitchen. 10 years ago, I couldn't afford a car. Now I can get a car much more easier. So, neighbor, a lot of persons, neighbor, lives are being changed, neighbor. A lot of persons' lives are being developed. But the People's National Party, the opposition, neighbor, is trying to put it into people's mind that if the government don't come and directly put something in your hand, whatever you gain otherwise from that is not as a result of the government. But I want to tell everyone that, neighbor, that if the government come and put something in your hand, there's nothing much that you can gain from that. What the government has to do, neighbor, when you look at the heart, neighbor, government has made art free to a certain level or a certain extent, neighbor. We have seen more enrollment in art more than ever. These are skills, lifetime skills people are getting, neighbor. This is much more better than somebody come get 20,000 every 5 years. These are lifetime skills where people can earn and people can gain after. And I would tell any Jamaican neighbor that the cheat code right now in Jamaica, neighbor, is to go through art. go through Archos NTA. That is the biggest cheat code right now in Jamaica. Anybody who want to advance or develop themselves, neighbor, find yourself in an Archos NTA program where you like. I mean, I tell you, that is the cheat code right now, neighbor. It's a certificate, neighbor, that is well recognized worldwide at a certain level, at certain places in the world. And it's a certificate, neighbor, where our country recognize it, and you can get skill, and you can also get, even when you get a skill, neighbor, there's a part where you can say tools of trade, where you can go apply and get the tools then that goes with the trade that you get at hard. Neighbor, Archos NTA is the cheat code. And I think the government need to push it more. The government need to advertise it more. Member of Parliament need to push this on their citizens, neighbor, and the constituents in their constituents, neighbor, and the people in their constituencies, and let them know that Archos NTA is the cheat code, neighbor. If you go to Art right now and do level 4 in construction, neighbor, that's basically a degree course right now. Much more cheaper if you should go to UTech or UA. Art is the cheat code, neighbor, and them offer a wide range of projects, a wide range of services, a wide range of neighbor. Them have a whole lot of stuff doing, neighbor. Archos NTA, the biggest cheat code in Jamaica right now.
Yes, and you know, Scratchy. All right, let me just bounce a little break here and come back Okay, let me. All right, 27 to 11.